Oh yeah, it's the Sinister. Here to let you hoes know one thing. Surprise, nigga!
Well, it's the lady of evil coming correct with the C.
What's up, fuckers? How's it going? Cullen?
Nathan. Hi, how you doing?
We are here to talk about a fascinating album that just came to our attention recently. What's it called? Coming for Your Soul by Low
Down Da Sinista.
Low Down Da Sinista from Memphis, Tennessee. Released in 1996 with little to no information surrounding it. Very, very dark, evil, sinister, living up to its name sounding Memphis hip-hop album. We found out about this album in an interesting way. Lee Buford, who's the drummer of the sludge metal duo The Body, one of our personal favorites.
Good man.
Oh, awesome band.
No, good man.
Oh, good man too, yeah. Very solid dude. Recently in a UK publication, he gave a list of his 13 favorite albums, which were quite surprising. There was some Nick Cave on there, some Dennis Wilson solo work, member of the Beach Boys.
There was no Beach Boys or Fleetwood Mac on
Because
the
he
list.
said that those are his two all-time favorite bands that he talks about.
So he could have just probably filled the entire list with Fleetwood Mac and the Beach Boys.
Yeah. But, what else? There was some old, like, 60s Real Roots reggae on there. Sisters of Mercy, Disintegration by The Cure. But the most interesting thing was this Memphis, Tennessee hip-hop tape that I guess he bought from some dude on the street in the mid to late 90s. And Buford himself put it very well. And I agree, having listened to a lot of 3-6 Mafia and a lot of their solo endeavors back in the mid to late 1990s. Memphis hip-hop existed in a vacuum where nothing before or after it ever sounded like it. And in a time where hip-hop was all either gang-banging, party rap, or, surrounding drug culture, the Memphis shit was dark, and it was heavy, and it was creepy, and it was dirty, and it was gritty. It was like an old, campy Italian horror film set to a rudimentary trap beat. And this album that we stumbled upon encompasses all of that quite well.
Well, you're the resident music nerd here, so you wanna take this one?
Yeah.
We just like you said, we just found out about this record, so we didn't have any time to do any kind of research or figure out who exactly Da Sinista is.
But it needed to be talked about.
Right. And hopefully moving forward we'll be able to find some information on these guys, because even Lee Buford, who's the one who brought it to our attention, didn't seem to know much about it.
No, and the internet I've scoured the internet trying to find any info on this tape. And a lot of people seem to know of its existence. It seems to have some underground critical acclaim, but no information about anyone responsible for the fruition of the tape. I haven't even given it a full listen yet. We're hearing it right now, but it's some really, really dark, ominous synth work on the beats, and I don't know, I think stuff like this is like really what laid the foundation for what's now known as trap.
Was it Buford who said that the synth beats were very John Carpenter-esque?
Yes, very John Carpenter-esque.
John Carpenter, of course, great filmmaker, Halloween, The Thing. Also composed the soundtracks to a lot of mostly his early works. He did the soundtrack to Halloween, I think he did Escape from New York, Assault on Precinct 13. Did not do The Thing. That was actually Ennio Morricone.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That has nothing to do with Low Down Da Sinista, though.
Unless maybe he collaborated with John Carpenter. Maybe it is John Carpenter.
John Carpenter had a secret double life as a Memphis trap rapper.
Didn't Garth Brooks do something like that? He had some alter ego or some shit. But anyways,
Fair enough. I don't know much about Carpenter's personal life. I have no idea what he gets up to when the sun goes down.
But and lyrically, this is about as dark and heavy as it gets. From what I can tell, a lot of the lyrical themes revolve around murder, suicide, depression, I don't know, insanity. It's I don't know, it's very introspective for a genre known for its its braggadociousness and its outlandishness. It's I don't know, pretty hard hitting lyrically. As far as the instrumentation goes, I'm really digging it so far. I think it's badass.
I'd like to take the time to actually sit down with the lyrics and do a full analysis on them.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know, I've been a huge hip-hop fan for, I don't know, probably the better half of a decade. I grew up on, I don't know, 80s hardcore, thrash metal, stuff like that. And honestly, I think I started listening to hip-hop like when I was in middle school, ironically, because I thought it was goofy that someone like me would listen to hip-hop. But then I heard...
you were like a kid in a Hard Times article.
Yeah, somewhat. But then, like, I started really listening to what I was listening to, and I realized, holy shit, these guys have something to say. This is cool. This is making me feel similar ways that all my punk rock and my hardcore makes me feel. And it's a world that I just kind of dove into head first. And, yeah, this is one of the first things I've heard in a long time that seemed different and compelling to me. Probably since the first time I heard Death Grips, which was the last, like, truly original thing in hip-hop that I had heard. But yeah, this is...
music in general, really.
Music in general, yeah, but especially, if you're gonna pick a specific genre. But yeah, this reminds me of, like, the absolute best of early 3-6 Mafia, which already had some darkness to it, but darker. Shout out to Lee Buford for turning me on to this. This is a very cool album. I really want to dive into it some more. And I'd really like to find out more about this Low Down Da Sinista and see if he ever did anything else. I mean, ideally, I'd love to try to go out to Memphis and try to talk to some people and see what he did. Or if anyone watching this happens to know anything,
by all means,
give us some pointers.
Illuminate us.
Absolutely.
I think you were saying, it's the guy from 3-6 Mafia.
Which one? Project Pat or DJ Paul?
Yeah, if he has a publicly listed email, just, shoot him a line and see if he writes you back. See if he's ever heard of Low Down Da Sinista.
Yeah, DJ Paul, you're on YouTube with your barbecue stuff. If you're watching this, try to hit us up and give us some
First of all, thank you for finding time out of your busy schedule to
barbecue and make some delicious sauces. But yeah, I really don't know what else to say. This is a very haunting, but a very pleasantly haunting listen. Mm-hmm. I'm all about it.
Yeah, the first track on the tape, just titled Intro, it starts it off right by borrowing the melody from one of my favorite, like, synthy horror movie soundtracks. That being the soundtrack to the Don Coscarelli flick Phantasm.
Oh yeah, it's the Sinister. Here to let you hoes know one thing.
And that movie, aside from being well known on its own merits, the soundtrack is well beloved by a lot of fans. So they took the melody and seemingly slowed it down, stripped it down, and that's the way they chose to start off their album, and it works fantastically to set the tone.
It's eerie. It's very eerie.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Phantasm, it's a weird, surreal, very dreamy kind of horror movie.
I've never seen it, so...
Yeah, it's got somewhat of a disjointed narrative and a almost like cosmic horror type villain.
What year was this?
Phantasm, I think, was 78.
Okay.
70, late 70s to mid 80s, somewhere
Yeah.
in there. It's when the first one came out.
And you were saying that synth work has been used and manipulated in several different ways, including on this beat. But weren't you saying something about a disco track?
Among horror fans, there is a well-known and much sought-after disco LP by some guy named Dr. Zorro, I believe, who, much like Low Down Da Sinista, I can find nothing on Dr. Zorro. I don't know who he was, if he still lives, if it's a woman, it could be. But yeah, whoever Dr. Zorro is, they took the Phantasm theme and turned it into a disco single, and it's actually kind of amazing. I'm just pissed off that I don't have $200 to drop on a copy of the LP.
Is that what it's going for?
Last time I looked it up, it was going for about $200 on eBay.
Good lord.
Horror nerds like their weird, obscure collectibles.
Understandable.
Just try and buy a copy of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game.
Video game?
Yeah.
I didn't know it existed.
On the Atari 2600. It was released by the same company that did one of the first VHS releases.
No shit.
Yeah, they had an offshoot video game company that did, I think, only two games.
Huh.
A game based on Texas Chainsaw and a game based on Halloween.
No shit.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Then, like a year or two after that, I think Wizard Video, I think they went bankrupt, either that or the video game portion of their company just dried up.
Huh. Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Low Down Da Sinista is like my new favorite rapper right now. Or rappers. I don't even know if it's one guy with a bunch of features on his album or if it's a group.
I believe it's a group because he has the same female vocalist on several tracks.
Yeah.
So I feel like that implies that this was probably an organized group effort.
Yeah. I don't know. I know the cover is one of the greatest covers I've ever seen on a hip-hop album.
Oh, the cover's amazing.
Yeah, just two dudes with hockey masks, each holding a 9mm handgun in each hand.
But yeah, I think we should definitely do a follow-up to this video after we've
absolutely.
Listened to this album for all it's worth. I really want to either find a transcript of the lyrics or just, if I have to, just write them all down by hand because
there's some shit being said in here that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, it's like that. There's almost like a weird, religious aspect going on. Because one of the later tracks, I can't remember what it was.
My Bible and My Pistol.
My Bible and My Pistol.
Yeah. It's not
to mention that there's just a fantastic track on the tape just called "Hell Has Arisen."
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's what I don't know. Memphis hip hop had a serious, dark evil to it that was never apparent in hip hop. The funny thing is, even the hardest hitting gangster rappers of the 90s all had their One Jesus track.
Yeah.
Where they talked about, coming to God or going back to God or what have you. Memphis hip hop was pretty overtly satanic in a lot of cases. I mean, the most famous hip hop collective to come out of Memphis was the 3-6 Mafia, and I think a lot of people lose track of the fact that they're called the 3-6 Mafia.
Yeah.
666, which they started referencing more so later in their career, but
I guess to remind people.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know what was going on in Memphis in the 90s. I've never been to Memphis. Listening to this makes me really want to check it out and see what the hell goes on there.
Yeah, hanging out with you and hearing a lot of the background history of the hip hop scene in Memphis is I'm getting the impression that it's some weird American version, American Southern version of Birmingham, England.
Because Birmingham, England is a really, I can't even say it's a bad place, but it's a very dirty industrial city. I was there in 2009 or 2010.
It was the Rust Belt before the Rust Belt was.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was like the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution.
And ended up being the birthplace of metal.
Absolutely. Black Sabbath, Godflesh, Napalm Death, like some of the heaviest bands to come off that island are all from Birmingham, England. And, I don't know, shitty industrial places tend to produce some really cool music. Voiding Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Sadly, Jacksonville has all the potential in the world. It's a shitty city, it's industrial, but they produce Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, the three groups to come out of Jacksonville, Leonard Skinner being the best, then, I guess...
Who's worse?
I guess... Shit.
The three bands are Leonard Skinner, Creed, and Limp Bizkit.
And for the life of me, I can't decide if I'd rather listen to Creed or Limp Bizkit.
Florida, all the way. But, yeah, another one we were talking about earlier was Sacramento. That's a very, kind of dark industrial town. Trash Talk is from Sacramento. Death Grips from Sacramento.
Which is weird to me because it's the political capital of the biggest state in the Union and no one cares.
Think about Washington, D.C., though.
True.
Yeah.
But Washington D.C. at least has like a nice clean touristy center.
It does.
Sacramento has one building that contains the state government, and then everything else is just
burbs,
empty streets.
Yeah. Death Grips.
The one disgruntled subway worker who serves MC Wright his sandwich.
Oh man. But yeah, I definitely want to do a follow-up on this. I'd really like to try to find some information on it. It's a very, very intriguing record. Any hip-hop fans, I'd go as far as to say any metal fans, anyone who's ever been interested in the occult.
Yeah, I'm not a hip-hop fan, really. I've started listening to a little bit of it since I've been hanging out with you, and I'm getting more into it.
But this is pretty fucking compelling.
But I'm by no means like a hip-hop scribe, and this really works for me.
Yeah, very, very cool record for lots and lots of different types of people. Low Down Da Sinista, coming for your soul.
Yeah, there's a full version of the album up on YouTube, so because you're not gonna find a copy of this tape.
Sadly.
So give it a listen for free. Why not?
Yeah, see what you can do. Comment if you have any information about it. Comment anyways. Like, subscribe.
Give us like a week. I'm guessing we'll come back and try and you know see if we can find anything.
Yeah.
At all.
There's got to be something out there.
I mean, the internet has like all of mankind's information. It's just a matter of sifting through all of the pop-up ads.
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, we're gonna see what we can do. Any help is appreciated, and we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back next week for a follow-up, and then after that, I think this series is just gonna assume a more like standard review format.
Reviews, I don't know, old and new album reviews, maybe some concert reviews if I get a chance to go out to any shows or anything like that.
Yeah, it's his party, I'm basically just tagging along.
Yeah, figured he should sit in on the first one.
Alright.
And because he's digging this just as much as I am.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's it for now. We'll be back.
So long.
Take it easy. So, Hollywood!